Heard of Rodtang? How about Takeru? These are some of the opponents Tenshin boxed the socks off of with nothing more than the humble jab. Hello pro strikers, and welcome back to the channel where we break down the techniques of the world's top fighters and help you elevate your striking game. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most important weapons in any striker's arsenal, the jab. And who better to study than Japanese kickboxing phenom, Tenshin Nasukawa. In this breakdown, we'll explore why his jab is his best weapon, the variations he uses, and why mastering the jab is essential for any fighter, whether you're in the ring or the cage. The power of the jab. As the old boxing idiom goes, the right hand can take you around the block, but the jab can take you around the world. The jab is arguably the most high percentage technique in combat sports, whether it's boxing, kickboxing, or mixed martial arts. Why? Because it's fast, efficient, and keeps your opponent at a distance while setting up more powerful shots. The jab can control the range, the rhythm, and tempo of a fight. It can be used both as part of an offensive and defensive strategy. It is one of the low risk techniques that yields a high reward. Now, if we look at Tenshin Nasukawa, his jab isn't just a rangefinder. It's an essential part of his entire striking system. It's the foundation for his high-level kickboxing and one of the key reasons he's been so dominant throughout his career. Currently undefeated in professional boxing, it's clear to see how the jab became such a big part of his game. Nasukawa is a Southpaw, and his style is a combination of kickboxing and full-contact karate, both of which he has learned and competed at a very young age. He is well known for his tendency to mix in seemingly flashy techniques like spinning kicks, rolling kicks, and jumping knees, and overall being somewhat of a flamboyant fighter. But that isn't what got Nasukawa to the dance, and it's not what earned him his most noticeable wins in kickboxing against Rodtang and Takeru. It was the bread and butter, day one fundamentals of a varied jab and good positioning. Foot position. As a southpaw, the jab is usually more difficult to land against an orthodox opponent. The reason being is there is a battle for outside foot position, as this brings a fighter away from the power side. The lead hand is therefore often obstructed by the opponent's lead hand. Tenshin doesn't mind giving up lead foot position for the purpose of landing his own jab, but he's crafted a method to land it either way. Here we see Tenshin hops to the outside of Takeru's lead foot, bypassing Takeru's lead hand and slotting his jab straight through the middle of his guard. This is partly due to Takeru's lack of hand fighting, choosing to position his lead hand by his head as a traditional boxing guard. The lack of hand fighting allowed Tenshin to set, and with it being a stance clash of Southpaw vs Orthodox, it gave less time for Takeru to react with his chosen defence of a parry. Hand speed. Tenshin is known for his incredible hand speed, and a snapping jab is one of his go-to tools when it comes to the lead hand game. It's quick and obviously designed to land before his opponent can react. He often throws it from a relaxed stance with very little telegraph, but something he does which might not be as obvious is extend the lead arm slightly and creep the hand closer to the opponent, as well as stepping in deep on his lead foot. This step shortens the distance the jab has to travel. Here we see his lead foot directly beside Takeru's as the jab lands. It makes it seem as if the jab is covering more distance than it actually is, as Tenshin's head still remains a good distance away. His upper body is back and he hasn't leaned in, meaning less giveaway. Takeru clearly didn't expect to be hit due to the illusion of distance Tenshin had presented. This in itself will make him appear faster. The jab from the waist. Now, a jab from the waist does require great hand speed, and as a man with fast fists, it's something Tenshin can incorporate into his game. The jab from the waist is more difficult to see than a textbook jab from the high guard because it comes from outside of an opponent's field of vision. It is also more difficult to parry as it comes from an upward angle, which changes the defensive patterns and can open further holes to exploit. It's a look Tenshin can cycle through to make himself more unpredictable and difficult to read throughout the course of a bout. Here we see Tenshin use a low lead hand after a lead arm control. This allows Tenshin to rest his lead arm a little bit, taking tension away from the shoulder, as he's not having to carry his hand up, whilst making the jab harder for Takeru to read. Tenshin prods the jab through Takeru's guard and knocks his head back. The second attempt to this jab, Takeru slips, which Tenshin then uses a lead arm control to stifle any potential counters. He again goes to the low jab to set up his backhand. The reason this is effective, as with the hand down, there is nothing to stop the opponent walking forward into the space. With a low lead hand, the head is exposed, and this bait may be seen as an opportunity for the opponent to attack. Tenshin then uses a quick jab to hide his 2 as Takeru steps in. The low lead hand is a great way to set up a fast 1-2. The 2-1 and the 1-2. Pushing the jab with the backhand is day one boxing. Tenshin cycling through jab variations before using a jab to disguise his backhand is an obvious tactic. When he wants to throw the two, he often throws both punches almost at the same time, leaving the opponent little chance to anticipate and defend it. Due to him frequently throwing single jabs, the opponent doesn't know when the two is coming, which is the art of this deception. Now the 2-1 is a lesser used combination, especially in kickboxing, but it's one every fighter should have in their arsenal. Now Tenshin's 2-1 might not look something like Sergey Kovalev's, but he's very effective with the 2-1 in close range. He'll often follow his backhand with a stinging straight left in the midst of an exchange. After throwing the 2, the right shoulder is forward, making that jab much more powerful. Controls. Now control isn't strictly a jab. The lead hand control does what it says on the tin. It's used to control the distance between the opponent or physically manoeuvre them to set up a power punch or improve position. Tenshin will often use his lead hand to pivot around his opponent if he's stuck in the corner. Even though it's not a jab, I still felt it important to mention as a part of Tenshin's jabbing game. The false jab. A feint in boxing is a deceptive movement or punch that's used to trick an opponent into thinking you're going to do one thing when you're actually going to do something else. A false jab is pretty much a feint, but it's the closest thing you'll get to the real thing. Tenshin is actually throwing a real jab. A typical feint is often a fast, jerky movement. It's pretending to throw a technique, not usually actually throwing it. Tenshin will throw a real jab, but without the intention of landing it. He directs it away from the opponent's head and sometimes toward the hand of the opponent. It's a deliberate miss to open up the guard and allow Tenshin to slot a real jab down the middle. It's also a great defensive tactic as it can prevent an opponent from opening up, and he can also throw it out to bait potential counters without fully committing and putting himself into range. He can use this jab to gauge if it's safe to go. The counter jab. Last but not least, the counter jab is another masterful variation of Tenshin's game. He uses it as a defensive tool when his opponents overcommit. He must have hit Takeru with 20 counter jabs as he was trying to throw his combinations. He waits for the opponent to throw a punch or step into range, and just as they do, he fires the jab with pinpoint accuracy. The timing on this is crucial, and Tenshin's ability to read his opponent's movement is the key. It's a perfect example of using the jab not just to attack, but also as a tool to stop the opponents in their tracks and reset the fight. It prevents the opponents from getting into a rhythm. I'd say Tenshin's jab is his most effective weapon. He has the ability to throw it in multiple ways, which makes it incredibly hard for opponents to predict and defend, and his variations keep his offence unpredictable, allowing him to maintain control of the fight. Sure, the jumping knees and spinning kicks are effective, they are very cool, and they're definitely a big part of his game, but they are highlight reel techniques, whereas the jab is the foundation. It's the steady constant that keeps Tenshin in control. The jab is arguably the most high percentage strike in all of combat sport. I would say low kicks in kickboxing, Muay Thai and MMA have definitely become more prominent, but the jab's right up there. It's a top 3 technique. Unlike a big hook or overhand punch, the jab allows a fighter to stay safe while staying active. Tenshin's jab is fast, it's accurate, and it allows him to score points while limiting counter opportunities for the opponent. So a good jab isn't just important for Tenshin, it's essential for any fighter. Whether you're in a boxing match or a kickboxing bout, the jab is your best tool to establish dominance. It helps you to set up your power punches and kicks, create and keep distance, and control the tempo of the fight. Look at any elite level striker, from Floyd Mayweather to Georges St. Pierre, Bukar Banchamek and Georgia Petrosian. You'll see that the jab is one of their key weapons. As always, thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. You can also access more breakdowns on the Pro Striking Patreon. Leave a comment down below on which fighter's technique you want us to break down next. Pro Striking appreciates you more than watching Tenshin jab into a rolling thunder.
Tenshin Nasukawa.